Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 5th, 2022 at approximately 3:38 a.m. PST. Well, the time has really come, in case you hadn't noticed, for the peoples of this world, quite frankly for all peoples in existence, to start working together to change the direction the energy and civilization is heading. Now, I've been watching, and the sad reality of it is this. Okay, mankind has taken a massive, massive detour that is not leading down a positive path. Now, I returned to this world for one reason, and that is to pass on a message to people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, now if you liked my video, please give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. We are working hard. And when I say we, I mean the subscribers to this channel plus myself. We are working hard to turn the tide of the energy that's running through this civilization. If it stays on the negative path it's been going down, we are going to have some problems. Now, this is a repeating process, and this is one of the reasons why I've returned at this time. Okay. Repeating problems being Rome did the same thing. The end of the Middle Ages did the same thing. Okay. When we look at Sodom and Gomorrah, which is way back before Rome, same problem happened. Greed and debauchery and inequality, abuses beyond recognition, were being perpetrated amongst many, many, many peoples. Now, I do not look at the issue. This is not just a problem to point to the elites or to point to the major superstars and the billionaires. This is not the problem. The root of the problem is the individual people. Now, I only follow three laws, the three karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, if you compare those three laws to any laws you follow, okay, my belief is you'll find they all fit inside those three. If you're following a law that does not fall inside those three, absolutely drop me a line, because I'm looking for that oddity. Okay, I'm looking for that one anomaly that derails the rest of it. But thus far, I've looked at a lot of the religions, a lot of the spiritual guidelines, many of the help groups, such and the help groups being things like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, the support lines for children, the support lines for veterans that are suffering from PTSD. And the ironic part with the PTSD is that there are many people that suffer PTSD that are not veterans. My father, quite frankly, he was a first responder, and for many years, he used to work search and rescue. And as he put it, some of what they went out and had to clean up left a real major mark. The first responders, many of them may well suffer from PTSD, but everybody sees PTSD as a wartime thing. It's not. We are taught right from the get-go. Okay, if you take a look at the schools, at the whole education system, and this is the problem. This society is bent out of shape right from the ground roots. Now we have to realize a society requires a government. It absolutely does. The one request I have of any government is that whatever laws you're making, make them applicable to everybody, including the people in the government, or including when you're making laws that the police are asked to enforce. Make certain that the same laws apply to the police, because what we're finding in many different fields, people get into a position of power and end up abusing that power. Now, this is not just relegated to one type of people. Okay, I've seen this happen with people with lots of money and people with virtually none. Okay, it's got nothing to do with color. It's got nothing to do with gender. This just seems to be something that society has bred. And it is time for us to start working together to change that. Now, one of the biggest holdups I've run into is I look at a lot of the mainstream religions. Okay, I've talked to a lot of people from the mainstream religions. And what I find happening, understand, I'm a firm believer in God. Call it what you will. Okay, I do believe in Jesus. I am not here to preach any one of them because what I'm seeing affects all of them. All religions. Okay, but what I'm finding is people are talking about, oh, here's the creator, fear the creator. He is vindictive, he is vicious, he's spiteful, but he loves you. I hate to tell you this, but those are all human traits. The creator, if you believe in a creator, in a higher power, the creator made the creations way before man came into the equation. So the creator is not someone to fear. Okay, they first and foremost, the creator, whether you call it the universe, God, Allah, Shiva, it doesn't matter. Okay, Gaia, Itza, all of these are names. But the reality of it is, the prime originator, or God, created everything they desired way before man came into existence. Now, mankind has a tendency of putting man's values on a god. Well, I'll tell you, that doesn't work as well as you might think. Gods don't have the ego that you're thinking of. Man does. Okay, and we have to realize that every individual has the power of creation in them. You have the capacity to take whatever you desire and co-create that. I say co-create because there are very few people that are totally self-sufficient. I've run into a few. But what you've got to realize is that you're taking the world. Now, here's a neat little idea. Okay, this thing here, this fine little thing called a pen. We call it a pen, but the reality is that's a great name for it. This is considered solid. But the funny part about that is we know by basic physics it's not solid. The molecule simply moves slower. Okay. But because everybody believes it's solid, what happens is it takes on that form. And this is what I mean by you have the ability to create. Now, you take a concept, and here's a big one that I'm working on right now. Okay, where is it here? This little concept here. Okay, now I've taken this book. The sequel is coming out in a couple of days. If you've got a project that you desire to create, okay, let's say you're just a kid and you desire to build a sandcastle. That is creation. That is simply taking the building blocks available and making it into something more. Okay, everybody has this capacity. Okay, and it's not just limited to people that have two hands. I've seen examples of people that don't have any hands and can paint miraculous masterpieces. Okay, I've seen people with only one hand able to do things like my mother. She used to type on an old-fashioned typewriter, an old manual typewriter. Where, again, if you're my age, because I'm 58, you may remember the old typewriters that had the swing arm on. You type away, you grab hold of the swing arm, you slide it back, and carry on typing. Now, my mother used to type it at 80 words a minute, but she wasn't the remarkable one. She had a classmate with physically only one hand that on the same machine used to type at 120 words a minute. So with this in mind, when you set your mind to something, you can make it happen. It may take you a little work. Quite frankly, most things do. But what I've come to realize is that working together, we can change this world and make it into a better place. But we've got to let go of the fear. Okay, you've got to let go of the idea that we're all going to die some terribly horrible death. Okay, we are all going to die. I've yet to run into anybody that doesn't. Okay, but there is something called past lives. And the way that works in a nutshell is when your physical body dies, picture, if you will, you're driving a car. And the car dies. Now, the car is essentially your body. Okay, if the car dies, you get out of the car, you walk around until you find another one, get back into a new car. Now, you don't forget what you did in the past car. But, okay, you do have to learn how the body works. Same thing applies to your life. When you die, you will go someplace. You may go to what you consider hell or what you consider heaven. You may think that you sleep in a box for the rest of eternity. It doesn't matter. Think what you will, you'll end up there. But sooner or later, you'll figure it out. And you'll go looking for another vehicle, another body. When you come back, because of the complication that comes hand in hand with it, okay, most of the time you forget what past lives were. Now, you don't even have to believe in past lives. I do, but then I've got memories that I've had corroborated by other people more often than I care to count. Actually, that's not entirely true. That I can think of offhand, I think I've got 18 documented. And yes, in answer to that question, somebody actually asked me that the other day, just a couple of months back, if I was going to be documenting them and putting them into a story, into a book. That is one of the books I'm working on. And again, this brings us back to that creation thing. When you desire to accomplish something, talk to somebody that has successfully done it. Okay. Now, talking to me about becoming a millionaire for the moment doesn't work. I'm not a millionaire, and I have never been a millionaire. As a matter of fact, it's only been this last year or so that I finally started even looking at money going, gee, I should have more of that. I've been living right above the poverty line. Like many of you, I've been living one paycheck away from living on the street. I finally got my head on straight, and this year will be the testing ground, really. Okay, but working together, we can make this place work better. But you gotta let go of the fear. If you're going to a church or a temple or any spiritual guide that is telling you, fear your creator. Okay, fear everything around you, and money is the root of all evil. Let me explain something here. Fearing a creator is pointless. It's kind of like fearing gravity. You don't have to believe in it. But I will tell you, you step off a balcony and you don't take it into consideration, the odds are you're going to get hurt. Okay. Fearing rain doesn't work well for you either, because if you're outside, you're going to get wet, and you'll notice, whatever the weather doesn't care how much money you've got. Whatever disease is out there, the disease does not care who you voted for. Okay. And I tell you, I have seen a lot of bizarre things happen in my life. Okay, you've seen a lot of bizarre things happen in your life. But the reality of it all is, we have to take a look at things, and you start. Well, that broke. You start by minimizing the negative and maximizing the positive. Now, I could get caught up, like many people do, in the negativity that's going on right now. Okay, in all the issue around disease and around inequality. And I could point fingers at everybody, but here's the reality. My home, okay, where I live, is my responsibility. If my son is not doing what he should because he's never been trained, that's my doing. Same applies to you and your kids. Okay. And especially look in the mirror first. See where your shortfalls are. Find out what you're not content with in your life. That's where you start making changes. This is not a question of fearing it. Okay, I like the way Wayne Gretzky put it. And for those of you that are hockey fans, I am absolutely appalled. I'm not a hockey fan, bear in mind, but I'm absolutely appalled by the fact that they pulled him out of the Hall of Fame, the Hockey Hall of Fame. The reality of it is he did phenomenal things for hockey. Whether it was hype, whether it was just simply social motivation, I don't know. And it matters a little to me. But the fact is, I don't know what reason they used for pulling him out of the Hall of Fame. But from my understanding, they did. That should never have happened. Okay, he hit that mark. And whether you take him out of the Hall of Fame or not, he still hit that mark. Same as you. Whatever your past, however you got to where you are, that is what makes you, you. And that's what you look at. You look at you and go, am I content with me? Well, for me, it boiled down to an issue of I'm no longer content with the way my life has been going. So I'm making some definitive changes. So this little book, The Birth of the Wolf Pack. Whoop, put it down. There it is. This one here, The Birth of the Wolf Pack. The sequel to this, which is an extremely important marker for me, is already in the printer. It will likely be in my possession within the next couple of days. And I'm about a quarter of the way through writing the final book in the in that particular trilogy. Again, this boils down to creative capacity. Everybody's got the same ability. That doesn't mean you can all write the same. It doesn't mean you can all draw the same. I mean, let's face it. My artistic capacity where it comes to drawing is limited. I do okay with a stick pen, and that's pretty much where it ends. Okay. But I've seen some staggering artists out there. So when we're looking at changing this world, if we go back 40,000 years, civilization had evolved to an interesting point. There were over 10 billion people on the planet. Okay. Now, no, there is not much record of them. And the reason for that is because we had perfected the idea of physical manifestation by thought. Now, today's society is kind of a similar situation. We have built, most of the records that we have are digital. But if there is ever a massive power failure, okay, a massive sun flare that fires off an EMP pulse, all of those records will be lost. Okay. So, again, we're looking at a situation where there is not a lot, but if we go back 40,000 years, okay, we had gotten bored. It was very easy. You went, I desire a drink. It would show up in your hand. We built our entire building system the same way. But what we found was by working together, we could build cities. We had overrun jealousy. We'd overrun greed. We'd overrun illness because we figured out that working with energy, by staying connected and communicating with each other, we could attain the dreams that we had. You can do the same thing, but it requires taking a look in the mirror and going, what am I not content with? Okay. Most people, I was told growing up, as were many people I know, you have to have your life in order. You got to have an idea what you're doing with your life by the time you get to 20. Well, I'll tell you, I missed that one by decades because it wasn't until about 3 years ago that it finally dawned on me, this is what I desire to do. And that's right. I never actually intended on doing video logs or vlogs. That was a long story unto itself. At this point, it's part of what I do. Now, a lot of that is because I find doing the vlog, not only does it show people what I'm up to, more importantly for me, it helps me keep things organized in my head. Okay. And now I'm not the best by any stretch. As a matter of fact, the biggest problem I have with that side of it is I am not proficient at marketing yet. I hired 2 different people to help with marketing, paid them, both of them fell flat on their tail feathers. Okay, and I didn't make any headway with it. So currently I'm trying to figure it out on my own. So granted, sales and what have you are taking their time. Now, I could reach out to other people, and the thing I am reaching out to other people for is this: to help spread this word that working together we can make this a better world. But it's going to take the effort of virtually everybody, and that means you. By working hand in hand, by focusing on the positive side of things, simply saying good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is, start off with that. While we're at it, let's start a pandemic. And I know pandemic has taken an absolutely horrendous view, but the pandemic I'm talking about is smile. And even if you're wearing a mask, a smile will still show in your eyes. Okay, but if we start spending more time smiling at each other instead of condemning each other for being different, then we will find this world takes on a much better feel. This is what I'm asking for assistance with. Absolutely, I'm asking you to join me on this journey. Now, I got accused one day of taking the concept of being nice to each other and talking about working with each other that I was trying to start a cult. And you want to call it a cult, be my guest. Okay, here's what I've got in mind with what I'm doing. Be nice to each other. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And in my case, okay, much as I will not give money to a church, or I will not give money to a registered charity, I will, however, and this is something that was brought to my attention the other day because everybody was talking about donating to food banks. At least at the time, the people I was around were. And what was explained to me, so I will be doing that around Christmas, but that's because, and I may, I'm looking at it, I may just decide to do it through the year. I just have to figure out the logistics to make sure it balances right. And that's not entirely a bad idea. But where it comes to food banks, if I drop the food off, the food will go to people that require it. Okay, I will not drop money off. That just isn't going to happen. But I am going to be working with the surplus. I know that I require $2,500 a month for me to run my household. Now, some of you can't do that at all because the rents right now, in many cases, are above that. Okay, which is a terrible shame in my eyes. But with that in mind, we have to take a look at the reality and go, okay, what are we doing at this point? Okay, how do we deal with this? Well, the way to deal with it is to take a look in the mirror and go, what do I require, regardless of what your income is? Okay, take a look at what your cost of living is. Okay, and deal with that first. I'm not talking about taking away money you require to run your house at your enjoyment level. But digging yourself further into debt in order to attain that entertainment level is just absolutely a bad idea. It does not work well for anybody but the people carrying the debts. Much like if you can, I mean, years ago they had well, I think they still have them. They had loan sharks where interest rates were so absolutely ridiculous. The moment you took a loan, you were in trouble. Okay, and that is happening again today. Back in Rome, they had the same idea. They had all kinds of money lenders out. And that was part of what caused the problem, was they had all these loans out, and all of a sudden the money lenders pulled the money and said, I want all my money back. That was a contributing factor to the fall of Rome. Okay, it wasn't just politics, it was business. Okay, Your churches, your temples, your business, the non-profit organizations, I got news for you. Those non-profit organizations are making a profit, but they're making the profit in most cases because most of the charity of the money that they ask for to help with their so-called charity, and do your own fact checking. Okay, what I found is the best of them. 30% of what you donate to a charity goes to the actual charity. The other 70% goes to administration, which means it goes to the pockets of the people running it. Okay. Now, to me, this is a problem. So, will I ever start a nonprofit organization? Absolutely not. Will I work with people to help make a difference with people? Absolutely. Which is why I'm working out things as far as I am. As far as the whole concept of that goes. But again, it boils down to working together. And you've got the same decision to make. Are you going to strive to stand on your own and simply let the world continue doing what it's doing? Or are you going to stand up? Are you willing to join me on this journey, in this effort to shift the direction the energy in civilization is going and change the way that civilization is heading for? The reality is, if we don't change the direction it's going, the world is going to go into another tailspin. Well, it's already starting, in case you hadn't noticed. Now, with this in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.